pretty good with the basic dog training. And when a foster has a dog that's exhibiting any kind of behavior issues that they're not sure how to deal with, they can call us. And when we are at a loss, we call this very nice lady named Julie Caswell, who owns a company called Positive Effects Dog Training. And she has helped us out a lot of times with behaviors we didn't know how to deal with. Oh boy, she's wearing black. That's your favorite color to lean on. Turner.
Do you have another one, Ashley?
Go ahead.
How come, is it just like the type of dog he is? Like he's got like a bigger tail, like a more flowy
Fluffy, he's Mr. Fluffy.
tail.
The same way people look different, golden retrievers all look different. And as I said, he's not a full golden. Is she way too much for you?
No, I have to talk.
Okay.
I can tell she doesn't care.
Yes.
How old is Turner?
Turner is, I can see, he was maybe 2 in August of '09. So what are you, 5? Yeah. Again, though, when you get a dog from rescue, you often don't really know their birth date because they'll say, oh, I think he's 2. Well, and I don't even have a birth date on her, so I made hers up. Hers is January 1st. And his is the day that I adopted him. It's not his birthday, but it's the beginning of his new life. So, yeah.
It's gotcha day.
Yeah, it's gotcha day. That's right. A lot of people call it that. No birthday, just gotcha.
Or what about telling them about socialization at the vet that we do sometimes?
Oh yeah, when the dogs come in and they go into to board at our vet, because all the dogs have to be fully vetted to be part of the rescue. Before they get into their foster home, we have volunteers, and Marjorie's one of them, that goes over to the vet's office and works with the dogs, walks them, assesses them, see how they are walking on a leash. Sometimes we cat test them. That's a little nerve-wracking sometimes for the cat. We see how they are with other dogs, and we report all of these in writing to our adoption team, so it's an easier job for them to find the right home for the dog. Because we don't ever want a dog to be returned to us because we didn't pick the right home. That's why we call our adoptive homes the forever homes. We want them to be forever.
Now, you said you have 3 different vets. Who are they?
Oh, we use Foothills Veterinary.
Okay.
And there's, what, 3 or 4 vets
There's
there.
3 vets.
Okay.
There, okay.
At that particular facility.
Okay.
And he's been doing this, the Golden Rescue for many years.
Okay.
Dr. Randall.
Okay.
And every once in a while, we have a dog in North Carolina, and we have a vet up there too that works with us.
Okay.
When you said you were training
Turner?
Turner, you said you had Libby, but do you still have her?
No, Libby died very suddenly, and it's horrible, and we weren't sure if we were going to get another dog, because we were both so upset, and then just magically, Maggie needed a home, and we thought we were the right home, and turns out I think we were. Are you happy, Maggie Moops? Are you happy for your room?
Thanks for saving me, Barb.
If you were going to volunteer or foster a dog, would, say, you yourself come out to the house, like,
Yes.
say, my house or whatever, and if you have other dogs, to see how the dogs get along, like tests? If you have other dogs at your house?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Again, we obviously need to do a pre-introduction,
Right.
because dogs are like people. Sometimes they don't like each other.
Yeah.
That was very rude. Turn. I'm shocked. And yeah, to be approved as a foster, we would do a home visit first, but then yes, we would bring a foster dog into the home. We would also make sure it's the right dog to get along.
Well, we check it to make sure you have a fence.
Right.
And where you're going to put the dog, and you would be feeding the dog. That's the only thing that a foster would have to do besides, little training things, like if a dog comes and doesn't know how to sit, you'll work with the dog and get it adoptable if you yourself are not going to adopt it. You know, you could volunteer to adopt two.
Yeah, we call them foster failures.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just, that
two
probably
times.
happened in our house.
Yeah, no, I'm a great foster. I've never failed. I
I
always,
have twice. Fostered and adopted.
my husband's a failure.
Wait. Oh yeah. Do you have like a little vet place built into your foster, or do you just have a certain vet?
No, we have a vet that we go to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we don't have a building. Basically, what Foothills Golden Retriever Rescue is a website and an answering machine. That's pretty much it. And a whole bunch of really dedicated volunteers that give their time.
Do you go to your vet, like, do you have a vet that you use? for
Yes,
your
a
dogs, like
foster.
Cleveland Park?
Yeah, yeah.
The same vet as a foster.
The foster home would bring the dog to our vet for vetting, and Foothills pays for it. The only thing we ask the foster to pay for would be their food.
We did talk a little bit last time about transporting of dogs from here to the north. I know that
Yes.
there was an article in the paper a couple of years ago about they would literally almost like caravan or
Yep.
meet and switch the dogs out. And I think they were going to the North Shore Animal League for them to adopt them out.
Okay.
Since you literally have been participant of that versus my just talking about it,
Yeah.
would you mind to tell more about that? I think they'd be interested to hear that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. If you go to Greenville Animal Care, I think it's Thursdays and Fridays.
And
You
that's the one at Greenville County on Furman Hall.
Yes.
Okay.
If you walk through, where you can't walk through, on those transport days, there are stacks of crates filled with animals. And they're all just waiting for their transport to show up. And sometimes it's a big van, sometimes it's actually a truck pulling a horse van. And the animals get loaded into these, and the lucky ones get a ride all the way to their destination. The typical one is, I'll drive the dog to Virginia, and then
Right.
the Virginia volunteer will take the dogs, put them in their vehicle, and I'm gonna drive the dogs to Delaware, and then on up. There also is a great group called Pup My Ride, and they are private pilots who
Yeah. Go ahead.
Pilots
That's good.
love
Good.
an excuse to fly. And so there are pilots that will fly dogs from anywhere in the United States to another place in the United States. And Turner, come here, buddy. I don't know if you guys remember when Beverly Hills Chihuahua, that movie came out.
I've seen both.
Okay, it was a while ago, right? The first one? Well, when a movie like that comes out, like 101 Dalmatians or Air Bud or whatever, suddenly there's all these people in the United States, oh, I have to have a Chihuahua, oh, I have to have a Golden, oh, I have to have a Dalmatian. And people go out and get them without researching, without realizing, I live in an apartment and I've just adopted an 80-pound Golden Retriever, that's not going to work out. Or I work 12 hours a day and I have a Dalmatian, that's not working out. So many of those popularized dogs end up in shelters. Well, there were thousands of Chihuahuas in Southern California in shelters, and they couldn't adopt them out. So Pup My Ride took about 900 Chihuahuas out of Southern California, and for whatever reason, Connecticut, everybody needed a Chihuahua in Connecticut. They all went to Connecticut, they all got adopted. And, oh yeah, not all together, to 900 different people. Another place that transports are really valuable is when there's a disaster, like Katrina was the first one that really brought that to everybody's attention. The need to have not just saving people, but saving their pets too. Because some people died rather than leave their pet. And other people had to abandon their pet despite their screams and tears and everything, and they never got reunited. That, I think, raised awareness in the rescue community throughout the country. And there's now disaster groups that strike when there's a disaster. And the most recent one was the Superstorm Sandy on the East Coast. And I mean, that was huge mobilization. There's a huge rescue out west in Utah called Best Friends Animal Sanctuary. It is really worth a look at their website. They have 55,000 acres, yeah, they have horses, donkeys, they have 800 dogs in their facility called Dogtown. They have full-time vets there, and they own planes, and they take dogs all over. And they're the ones who will, the first to respond to any disaster where animals need to be saved.
And I have one more that came up, and then we can go back to the girls that got smart. One of you does therapy dogs? Okay, can you tell them a little about therapy dogs?
I love.
Poor Marjorie doesn't get to say a whole lot.
No, she didn't want to.
She's more experienced. I've only been with Rescue 4 years, and she's got, 15 years
Yeah.
now?
Okay.
But I was gonna mention therapy.
Yeah, that's right.
For you.
I had a dog named Bonnie, and I just knew she had been born to be a therapy dog. She was very attentive and very calm. You can't train a dog to be a therapy dog. They have to have the right temperament. If they have the right temperament, then you can train them. Turner can't be a therapy dog because he's too pushy. You see, he's a little pushy. But Bonnie and I trained to work with hospice patients. And we ended up basically going to a hospice facility and working with the families that were visiting the hospice patients. They were very emotional, very upset with their loved one dying, and they would come into the waiting room to get a little downtime, and Bonnie just administered to them. My mother is in a care facility and in an Alzheimer's unit, and she also realized she was perfect for Alzheimer's patients. I have another friend that does the reading program. I don't know if you have ever heard of that, but children that have trouble reading out loud especially, the main reason they have that is because they've been laughed at, or they're fearful of making a mistake, so they shut down and they don't read. So there is a reading program where they bring dogs in to libraries, and each dog is assigned to a child. The child sits down on the floor and reads to the dog. And every single child in that program, their reading skills increase. Not one kid has ever failed in that program. And they think it's for 2 reasons. Number one, they're reading to a non-judgmental being who's not ever going to laugh at them. And the other thing is they're touching a dog, and the dog's touching them. And that's just very calming.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the two. We had a great dog come through our rescue named Chase. Chase had a really bad start. His owners, when he was a pup, for whatever reason, put a big rubber band around one of his back legs and left it on there. And when we brought him in, we had to chop the leg off. It was dead.
We have 3 actually in the rescue.
Yeah, but I'm talking about Chase.
Yeah, you did.
So Chase never, to this day, knows that he doesn't have 4 legs. He's named Chase because he chases around. And his adopter, owner, Linda, works very heavily with therapy dogs, and she turned Chase into a therapy dog. And he is marvelous. He works at Greenville Hospital with kids, and especially kids that have had a devastating injury,
Right.
and they see Chase with only 3 legs running around like he couldn't care less, and it really helps. Do you have allergies?
Tad.
So you're allergic to Maggie. Oh, see, Maggie's belly has been shaved. Yeah, Maggie had to have an ultrasound because she has something called bilious vomiting syndrome. And so it's fairly easy to deal with. She has to be fed 4 times a day,
Oh, wow.
so her stomach's never really empty. So what is the idea of a golden in heaven? Eating 4 times a day.
Oh, yeah.
And then Turner has to eat too because he can't feed one without the other. So.
Right, right. Okay, girls, do you have any more questions? Oh, Miss Lila.
Yes.
Are all the dogs like golden retrievers, or can they be any dog?
They can be any dog. It just has to be the right temperament dog. Now, I will tell you, at Mainline Animal Rescue in Pennsylvania, there's a big school called the Royer Graves School for the Blind, and they contacted us in